Oh, look at you. Are you tired of spending your nights alone? Would you like your very own Prince Charming to boss around and humiliate for the entire world to witness? Well then, All the Rules is just the book for you, my dear. What are you waiting for? Dial your local emergency number and get the obvious help you need today. Disclaimer: no offense is intended to anyone who follows the rules. This is all in the name of good fun. Thank you. So the other day, I was doing some research for a separate video, and I came upon this article. The Rules. Dating guidebook Meghan Markle swore by. She may have finally found her Prince Charming, but it seems Meghan had some help in the form of a dating self-help book. According to a friend, Meghan used to be an avid follower of The Rules, a dating self-help book published in the 90s. Meghan used to quote The Rules all the time and really put it into practice with a number of her boyfriends. Which is actually kind of funny, because if the book actually works, one wonders why she had so many failed relationships, including one failed marriage, and why she had to beg women she didn't know in the UK in her mid-30s to help her find a husband.
And she wanted to find an English boyfriend. So I said, look, I'll help you.
But regardless, in the name of fun and perhaps helping someone out there looking for love, you never know, the rules might work for you, I thought, why not go through snippets of this so-called dating Bible that Meghan Markle swears by, so we can find out together once and for all. Is this the holy grail for women who want their happily ever after with their very own Prince Charming? Let's find out. So I suppose the best place to start off is to figure out, what are the rules? They are a simple way of acting around men that can help any woman win the heart of the man of her dreams. The purpose of the rules is to make Mr. Right obsessed with having you as his by making yourself seem unattainable. In plain language, we're talking about playing hard to get. Follow the rules and he will not just marry you, but feel crazy about you forever. What we're promising you is happily ever after. A marriage truly made in heaven. Those are big promises right there. I mean, that is a huge, huge responsibility that these authors are placing upon their book. Sure, a man might marry you if you don't do the rules, but we can't guarantee that yours will be a good marriage. In the long run, it's not fun to break the rules. You could easily end up alone. Think about never having to be alone on Saturday nights or having to ask your married friends to fix you up.
And she wanted to find an English boyfriend.
Now, women, if you are serious about finding a husband, then you must change your definition of gratification. Gratification is a man calling you, pursuing you, and asking you to marry him. Gratification is not a hot fudge sundae or a hot date where you break the rules. If, like me and like Meghan, ironically, you are a fan of neutral colors, a neutral palette, you wear lots of black, lots of white, lots of beige, then you're probably gonna die alone. Men like women who wear fashionable, sexy clothes in bright colors. Why not please them? This one also singles me out. Don't aspire to the unisex look. Wear a short skirt, but not too short, if you have the legs for it. So I guess if you don't have the legs for it, you're gonna die alone. Can't take myself seriously. If you have a bad nose, get a nose job. Color gray hair, grow your hair long. Men prefer long hair, something to play with and caress. Don't tell sarcastic jokes. Don't be a loud, knee-slapping, hysterically funny girl. When you're with a man, be quiet and mysterious. Act ladylike. Cross your legs and smile. Don't talk so much. Wear black sheer pantyhose and hike up your skirt to entice the opposite sex. You may feel that you won't be able to be yourself, but men will love it. I just find it hilarious that this was Meghan's supposed Bible, and yet she complained about being objectified and being made to just be sexy on Deal or No Deal because she was so much more than just her looks. All right, now we're gonna move on to the actual rules. This was just the preamble. You thought this was like the actual, you thought we got into the rules? Oh no. I've had to make a selection because otherwise this video will be entirely too long and I risk a copyright strike from the authors. But other than that, buckle up because your life is just about to get rocked. Rule number 1, be a creature unlike any other. Being a creature unlike any other is a state of mind. You don't have to be rich, beautiful, or exceptionally smart to feel this way about yourself. It can be learned, practiced, and mastered, like all the other rules in this book. You still think you're enough. Get a nose job. On a date, you never show that getting married is foremost on your mind. You're cool. You sip, never slurp your drink. Your answers are short, light, and flirtatious. Your gestures are soft and feminine. When your hair falls in front of your face, you tilt your head back and comb back your hair with your hand from the top of your head in a slow, sweeping motion. So be a robot. Be a robot. Do not for a second fool yourself into thinking a man's gonna want an actual, real flesh and blood human being for a partner. Because if you think that way,
you will die alone.
Oh, what am I doing? They then talk about how you should never approach a man, which actually leads straight into rule number 2. Don't talk to a man first, and don't ask him to dance. By talking to a man first, we interfere with whatever was supposed to happen or not happen, perhaps causing a conversation or a date to occur that was never meant to be, and inevitably getting hurt in the process. Eventually, he'll talk to the girl he really wants and drop you. I mean, if there are any men out there in the audience, I know I've got Zach, which maybe that's an idea for an episode, actually, asking a man what he thinks about the rules. But are men actually put off a woman who approaches them first? Is that actually a thing? Is that not something that died out in the 1800s? And if you've ever thought that men are capable of shyness, you're going to die alone. The authors believe that most men are not shy. Just not really interested if they don't approach you. It's hard to accept that, we know. Oh, how nice of them to acknowledge that. But they recommend that you wait for the one who approaches you. Spend your life waiting, even if the years pass you by, even if the guy you like is absolutely single and responsive to you in every other arena except for dating, because he's never had the guts to bring it up, you've never had the guts to bring it up because you're reading the rules. Just sit down and wait. Rule number 5. Don't call him and rarely return his calls. If you are following the rules religiously, there is no reason to call him. To call men is to pursue them, which is totally against the rules. They will immediately know that you like them and possibly lose interest. Heaven forbid a man knows that you like him. Another reason not to call men is so you don't catch them in the middle of something, watching a football game, paying bills, entertaining a friend, or even sleeping, when they may not be in the mood to talk to you. Why take a chance? Leave it up to them, because you're not doing anything. You're just sitting around waiting for him to call. There's nothing to interrupt. If you don't want a man to know how much you like him or that you feel empty and insecure, don't call him. If you don't want a man to know that you feel empty and insecure, I mean, that's a really big assumption to make, ladies. And I'm talking to the authors here. And I'm assuming this book is written for adults. I think that's a very safe assumption to make. Although they do have 2 separate rules for girls in high school and in college, which I have not read. But in general, this is directed towards adults. And yet they expect you to play games endlessly because you have nothing better to do, didn't you know? If he leaves a message on your phone, say you were busy and you weren't just sitting around the couch waiting for him to call, then try not to return his call. Play games with him, mess around with him, drive him crazy, because that's how you get a man to fall in love with you, ladies. Have you ever noticed that the conversation is always better when men call you? No. That's because when they call you, they're doing the dialing. When they call you, they're the aggressor. Oh, and again, because apparently none of us mentally mature beyond the age of 12, if you're so desperate to hear your man's voice, but you don't want to call him because you're following the rules, you don't want to break the rules now because you're going to die alone, then call him when he's not home. Now this is very 90s, because this doesn't really apply anymore necessarily, so that he doesn't answer and you can hear his voice on the voice machine recording. Yeah. But don't forget to hang up before the beep. Rule number 7, don't accept a Saturday night date after Wednesday. It's quite common these days for men to ask women out for the same night or the very next day. And it's equally common for women to accept such casual, last-minute invitations out of fear that it will be the best offer they get that week. But this is not a rules date. The man who eventually wants to marry you will not wait until the last minute to ask you out. I guess my marriage is a sham. Also, forget about me. Didn't Meghan and Harry break this rule on their very first date? Didn't they say in their reality show and in Harry's book that they basically were sitting there in the first date and quickly arranged what they were doing the very next day? We often hear about spontaneous women who go out with men on 24 hours notice. We wish them luck. Now, I can't speak for the success of her marriage, but she still managed to nail a prince by doing just that. And so did I. Not that I married a prince. I mean, he's a prince to me. Rule number 9, how to act on dates 1, 2, and 3. If you're anything like us, you've thought a lot about how much the two of you have in common before he even arrives to pick you up. And you've named the children before he says hello. What, this is meant to be before the first date? That's kind of creepy. And if you're doing that, then you don't need the book to tell you not to do that. I'll tell you not to do that because you're gonna die alone. All you really have to do on the first 3 dates is show up, relax, pretend you're an actress making a cameo appearance in a movie. Be sweet and light. Laugh at his jokes, but don't try too hard. Smile a lot and don't feel obligated to fill up the lulls in the conversation. In general, let him do all the work. No wonder people say dating is hard. I actually ended up marrying the very first guy that I dated. Never been with anyone else, so I've technically never been in a dating pool, but my goodness, are these the games that people have to play just to get someone to like you? Now here's something that Meghan apparently did on her first date, according to Netflix or Spare or both. End the date first, especially if you like him. Glance at your watch after 2 hours for a drink date or 3 or 4 hours for a dinner date. Simply sigh and say, gee, this was really great, but I've got a really big day tomorrow. Don't say what it is you're doing tomorrow because you don't want him to know that you're just going to be sitting on the couch waiting for him to call you. At the end of the first date, you can accept a light peck on the cheek or lips, even though you're dying to do more. Rule number 12, stop dating him if he doesn't buy you a romantic gift for your birthday or Valentine's Day. What kind of present can you expect to receive on your birthday when a man is in love with you? Ideally, jewelry, but any romantic gift will do.
I ain't saying she a gold digger.
Now, don't get us wrong, they continue. This is not a rule for gold diggers. It's just that when a man wants to marry you, he usually gives you jewelry, not sporty or practical gifts like a toaster oven or coffee maker. The rule is that if you don't get jewelry or some other romantic gift on your birthday or other significant occasion, you might as well call it quits because he's not in love with you. And chances are you won't get the most important gift of all, an engagement ring.
Oh look, a ham sandwich.
Rule 16, don't tell him what to do. Rule 22, don't live with a man or leave your things in his apartment. To live together or not to live together? Is that a question you're grappling with now? Move in only if you've set a wedding date. In other words, the only reason to live with someone is if you're planning the wedding and you don't want to pay 2 rents. Pretty sure Meghan Markle broke this one fairly early in their relationship. I mean, didn't we hear reports that she moved into his house? I think Tom Bauer said it actually in his book. She moved into Harry's house early 2017, around April or something. And that was definitely months before they were engaged. She still landed the prince. But apparently there is a caveat. You can live with a man, even if a wedding date is not set. So maybe this is what Meghan Markle did. I got ahead of myself. If and only if he wants you to move in with him, but you don't. Once again, to hell with what you want to do. If he wants you to live with him and you don't, then live with him. Rule 23, don't date a married man.
Captain of the Oz.
Dating married or unavailable men is not only an obvious waste of time, but also it's dishonest and stupid. I agree, for once. So why do so many women do it? Some feel it's better than dating no one. Some find the very wrongness and danger of it fun and exciting. And some hang on to the hope that one day the men will leave their wives for them. All these women suffer from low self-esteem. Or why would they settle for so little? I completely agree. The women I know, the girls I know who chase after married men or who have no respect for the fact that a man is already in a relationship are some of the most, if not the most insecure women I have ever had the misfortune to come across. Oh my God, but get this, just when I thought we were on the same page. If you have recently met a married man that you are mad about, stop you right there. You should never allow yourself to be mad about a married man. Then you must practice self-restraint. If he is everything you ever wanted in a husband, be friends with him and hope he gets divorced.
Oh, the humanity.
Until then, you must say to yourself that a single man like him exists somewhere out there for you. Yeah, I agree. There are plenty of fish in the sea, as they say. Rule 26. Even if you're engaged or married, you still need the rules. If you didn't do the rules at the beginning of your relationship, which I did not, your husband might ignore you, talk to you rudely, or treat you badly. We believe it's because you didn't do the rules. I must have done the rules in my sleep then. Abuse doesn't happen in a rules relationship because when you play hard to get and he works like hell to get you, he thinks you're the most beautiful, wonderful woman in the world, even if you're not. It's not because he has serious issues, personality problems, mental disorders. No, it's because of his perception of you, the perception which you gave him when you decided that fateful day whether you wanted to follow the rules or not. But don't despair. Start doing the rules now as best as you can, and he may notice a difference in your behavior and want you more. Here are 5 suggestions. Don't call him at work so often. When you do, keep it brief and practical. Yeah, you know what? I agree with that one. Don't initiate sex, even if you want it badly. And then you hear about the men complaining online about how they've gone 6 months without because their wife never initiates. Dress better, a little sexier. No man likes coming home to a woman wearing sweatpants or a bathrobe all the time. I mean, are we telling men the same thing though? And is it really slobby for a woman to just be comfortable in her own home? It's bad enough the world expects us to be out there looking perfect in painful high heels and annoying makeup and doing your hair and taking, hours to get ready. Whereas a man apparently is good enough to just get up, wash his face, throw on some clothes and get out the door. Act independent. Always be coming or going. Don't sit on the couch waiting for him to come home. Yeah, I agree. Have your life. Your life should never revolve around a man. And then number 5 is take up a hobby. Yeah, which, duh. I mean, you don't need a book to tell you these things. And if you do, God help you. What can you expect to get when you do the rules? The answer is total adoration from the man of your dreams. Otherwise, why else would we do them?
Fuck my life.